Good morning, Wildings, and happy hair wash day. Today, for our intuitive tarot card reading, we're going to get channeled messages about why your person fell in love with you. This could be any kind of connection or any state of that connection. So if you're in a situationship or a relationship or a separation or whatever, there will be channeled messages here for you. So if that sounds like something that feels good today, stick around for the video. Hi Wildings, welcome to the pick a pile or pick a card reading for why your person fell in love with you. This can be any connection and any state of connection. It's probably going to be romantic though, but any kind of situationship, relationship, separation, whatever. We're going to get some channeled messages for whoever ends up wherever they end up. So just using your intuition to choose a pile, remembering that, as always, I've left brief descriptions of what each reading contained at the very bottom of the description box. If for some reason you don't feel connected to your intuition, or you want to avoid being triggered by certain things, or whatever other self-care practice you might have that requires you to just check ahead, like that's always there for you as an option. But for everyone else, going ahead and choosing a pile based on your intuition, and wherever you end up, I will see you there very soon. Hey there, pile one. This is going to be a reading for why your person fell in love with you. So if you chose this beautiful apophyllite crystal, then this reading is probably for you. We're just going to check the general themes of the reason why your person fell in love with you using this astrology deck. And just while I'm shuffling, remembering to use your intuition and discernment regarding which messages are for you, which ones aren't, which ones might have a better interpretation for your situation. That, like, intuiting what you need to know essentially is like the most important part of the reading, like way more important than anything that I have to say. Like knowing what's for you and practicing using that discernment is like going to be the best thing that you ever get out of any tarot readings. But let's get into your reading. Spirit, can we please have pile one's person's reason for falling in love with them? Could we please have the reasons why pile one's person fell in love with them, please, Spirit? Could we please have the reasons why pile one's person fell in love with them? Okay, so the first card we have is the 5th house of creativity. It's also to do with like sex, pleasure, offspring, like children and stuff. And then we also have the fire element of like desire. And then we also have the 3rd house of like communication. It can also be to do with like intellect, school, and that sort of thing. Immediately what I'm thinking though is like this 5th house corresponds with kind of Leo energy, which is like very bold, which is a very bold fire sign, and it's also kind of like known for being like a very like sexual sign. So these two both coming out tells me that probably a big draw towards you for your person was like at least initially very sexual in nature. Like they wanted to connect with you on a very physical level, but then I'm also getting that maybe once they got to know you and started like talking to you more, and getting to know like your mind and your intellect, which has a lot to do with like the 3rd house, then they fell in love with you like on a deeper level. But let's clarify all of this with this traditional tarot deck to find out a little bit more about why your person fell in love with you. Can we get why pile one's person fell in love with them? Can we get why pile one's person fell in love with them? Can we get why pile one's person fell in love with them? Can we clarify this Nine of Pentacles, please? Can we clarify this Three of Wands? And the Five of Cups and Four of Pentacles? And the Ten of Cups. Can we clarify the Ten of Cups? Okay, pile one, I'm kind of getting situationship vibes mostly here. I'm not saying that's going to be everyone here, but I'm definitely getting some like situationship energy from this. I think potentially your connection with this person, whoever you're asking about, maybe started that way at the very least, like started kind of either started like super casual, maybe like friends with benefit situation, or started just like started like as a very kind of like normal relationship kind of energy, because your person definitely is coming across as kind of, at least when you guys met, a very practical, like down to earth, like very much in the 3D world kind of energy. But I'm getting that you were not that kind of energy. You were definitely like a lot more spiritual, a lot more kind of like I'm gonna say woke. Like you were kind of woke. This person was kind of like, say, like more of an average Joe Blow. At least how they were living at the time, but they had huge potential that they didn't even realize within themselves, for sure. And I think that's potentially why this started as more of like a situationship, kind of casual. Like, I don't think either of you maybe even expected it to turn into what it turned into. At the very least, your person absolutely did not. I'm sensing like maybe you intuitively knew for like definitely some of you here, but even the people that intuitively knew that this was kind of different, I don't think for the majority of you that you were aware just how different this connection was when you walked into it. And definitely your person had no idea how different this connection was, but they learned very, very, very quickly. I'm getting that kind of that like practical, earthy, like kind of down to earth energy from this Nine of Pentacles. I'm getting that they probably were like very focused on like maybe their career and like very practical things in terms of like where they wanted to live, and like I think they were seeing a relationship from very practical standpoints as well. Like I think maybe they saw relationships as opportunities to like connect physically with people. Like they were kind of like dating to sleep with people essentially, and they were thinking that if they were ever going to commit to someone, it was going to be like for practical reasons, like it would be with someone who just like made a lot of logical sense. And from this Knight of Pentacles energy, like I'm getting that like I think in terms of a relationship, like I don't think they were necessarily like chasing it. Like the Knight of Pentacles energy is kind of like a very youthful going after what you want kind of energy. But I'm getting from this that like they weren't kind of really pursuing a relationship with any kind of seriousness or any kind of like intent for like spiritual development. But like potentially you were, and that initially was like kind of a mismatch. And maybe that's why pile one, that this was a bit of a situationship at the start, because you kind of both came into this connection with like just like really different outlooks and really different intentions about what you wanted. I think your person probably was looking for something a bit more like physical and exciting, and they were drawn to you because they definitely could see that with you. But like, I don't think they were necessarily looking for kind of a spiritual partnership per se. Whereas I'm getting like kind of, you were always kind of that kind of like very deep, intelligent, spiritual kind of energy. And kind of when they connected with you, they kind of almost couldn't help getting pulled into that kind of energy, because the draw was so strong. And I think like, the draw was so strong both physically and spiritually by the time they actually started to connect with you. But yeah, definitely initially I'm getting like you were very, very much like aware of the spiritual element, but they weren't. And I think potentially that you either ended up having like a like, because you weren't quite on the same like level, you're kind of, it was like you were kind of traveling on two different paths that were like kind of coming together slightly, but then also diverging a lot. Like you're kind of on two different tracks. And because you're on two different tracks, and you're kind of like connecting and then disconnecting, like I think potentially that there was some sort of maybe there was some sort of like conflict or something that either led you guys to go into like a separation, or maybe there was like some sort of like conflict, or some sort of like essentially like a big disagreement about your relationship and the state that it was in and where it was going and what the potential was and like all that sort of stuff. I'm getting like kind of a lot of conflict from these different perspectives. And I do think for the majority of people here, it may have ended up with either you breaking up with them or them breaking up with you, or like disconnecting from you in some way, either like emotionally distancing themselves or like just creating lots of space. But what I'm getting from that is that your person wanted to introduce that space to this connection because it's what felt safe for them. Like the Four of Pentacles is very much about how you feel safe and secure. And then the Five of Cups can be like usually like emotional loss kind of card. So I'm getting that they really like either put on the brakes with you or created lots of distance or became kind of emotionally unavailable or just like created space somehow from you in order for them to feel safe. Because like I think they like, as this connection like kind of evolved, they were getting drawn more into the spiritual stuff, and it was actually creating lots of kind of crises for them. Like I don't think they'd really thought about life in as much of a spiritual perspective as you had, and then when they started getting involved with you, like they started to actually like understand a lot more spiritually and like unlock their spiritual potential that they'd never really tapped into before. And what I'm getting is that when they did like distance themselves to try and feel safe, like they ended up like just realizing heaps of stuff about themselves. And I think maybe this was the first time that they were like aware that they were distancing themselves from someone. And that created like another crisis in itself. They were just like, oh my God, like I'm distancing myself from this person, not because they're not right for me, as they've probably told themselves in many relationships in the past, that maybe challenged them spiritually a little bit or emotionally or whatever. But I'm actually like trying to run away from this because it's meaningful. Like I feel a lot in this connection. It brings up a lot for me. It makes me aware of a lot of my stuff. It makes me want to work on a lot of my stuff and like change it. And like, I'm getting that almost, when they had this like moment, it almost immediately made them like fall in love with you, like just on such a deeper level, because they like finally got it. Like they had like a huge aha moment, and they realized that what actually would make them happy and most aligned in life is this kind of spiritual connection. And so they kind of like had this transformation, or like kind of complete flip of the script of what they thought about relationships in the past. Like I'm getting that they underwent like a lot of learning of like the spiritual potential of relationships, and how much relationships have the potential to heal us and show us a lot of our patterns and wounding and like all that sort of stuff. And like I think that potentially like freaked them out a little bit, but at the same time, like they were aware that if they wanted to be like really aligned and happy in their life, that they'd have to really like address the way that they were thinking about relationships, and starting to view them as more of like a spiritual container in which to do spiritual work in order to like grow as a person. Yeah, so it's been a lot. Like I think what I'm getting is like, it wasn't necessarily kind of like lovey-dovey fluffy kind of things that made this person fall in love with you. It was just like essentially you shaking them deep to their core and just unlocking so much for them. They were just like, oh my god, this person just like has so much potential to like essentially like kind of address all of my like wounds and patterns and all that sort of stuff. Like your person definitely realized that this connection had the potential to do like offer them a lot of like healing and peace and like contentment within themselves, because I think before you came along they're actually kind of fighting themselves a lot, is what I'm getting from this Five of Wands in reverse. But when you came along, it kind of like showed them the path to actually being like connected to themselves in a different way through their connection to you. And that to them was just like kind of like essentially mind-blowing. I don't think they were expecting it, but it kind of like hit them like a ton of bricks is what I'm getting, and just like changed them so much. And because they felt so changed in the way that they not only loved you but also loved themselves, they like that's kind of what made them fall more in love with you. And I think I'm also getting that this person like also fell in love with you because like you were maybe the first person that wasn't really trying to gain anything from them, at least not in a material sense. And in the past, like I think maybe they'd been in relationships where people kind of wanted a lot from them, but you were definitely very different. Like kind of you just wanted to be you and you wanted them to be them, and like be in a partnership together where you could like be like yourself and super open and just like really connected, and like you weren't looking for any sort of like you weren't looking for them to like save you or anything. Like you were prepared to save yourself and do that work alongside them. And that was actually like potentially the most balanced connection that they'd ever been in. Like I think maybe in the past they'd been in connections where like either they'd been with someone who like wanted a lot from them, or maybe they'd been with people that wanted nothing from them, but like both kind of in a bad way. Whereas you didn't want anything from them in terms of like material things that they could give you. All you wanted was kind of like just them, like genuinely to be their most happy aligned self, and for you to be your most happy and aligned self, and just like connect and enjoy each other's company and like heal together. Yeah, so from this Five of Pentacles card, I'm definitely getting like that you wanted to like heal each other and just like overcome maybe a lot of the not enoughness or like wounds or like situationships from the past, or you know, like all of that sort of stuff. Like you're very much interested in like healing and being the best version of yourself for each other. I'm not really getting any, like there's a lot of energy here that would suggest that there's been some sort of falling out. I'm not really getting any indication one way or another if you guys have like reconnected or not. I think it might be a bit of a mix of people here in terms of like whether they're still in this like separation or whether they're or whether you guys have like reconnected. I think either way, like your person does feel a lot of alignment and happiness with you, and they are super in love with you, not just from like kind of how it started with like the physical and like talking element, but like how they've been able to grow as a result from this connection. Like they definitely fell in love with you because you were the first person who like kind of wanted nothing from them except for them to be themselves and be the best version of themselves, and that they found was like just super endearing, and that just made them like fall for you harder, like harder than they were already falling for you. There's still a lot of like sexual chemistry and desire here. There's a lot of like desire for communication as well with this messages card. So I would say for a decent amount of you, you're probably still in separation with this person, and they're definitely wanting to come back and like connect and communicate with you, because maybe it was only when they took space that they kind of like realized all this spiritual stuff. Like in the space, they like kind of were aware of like just how much they loved you and why they loved you and why you made a lot of sense for them, because I think maybe like when you were in connection, like at least initially, like they kind of like didn't see all of that stuff, because kind of like what I was talking about earlier with this tower moment about them not realizing that they pull away from things that feel really good, and feel really real and feel really connected, and feel really like deep. Like I'm getting that they actually kind of needed the space to kind of get that, because before they took the space, they were kind of like in the pattern in a way that they weren't aware of it. But in the space, they became aware of that pattern and understanding like why they did that. And like that in itself was like a huge spiritual revolution. But let's see what else we can get around why your person fell in love with you, pile one. Why did your person fall in love with you, pile one? Any more about why pile one's person fell in love with them? So we have moderation. So I think this is kind of like about the balance that that I was talking about earlier. Like I think maybe you were able to kind of like moderate their relationships in a different way. Like I think in the past they were very like push-pulley and just like kind of extremes and opposite and turbulent and like kind of like not really that good for the soul, whereas like you were like super balanced and just like a really good combination of like the physical like kind of sexual element of your relationship, a really good balance of like kind of the talking and communicating, connecting on a deeper level, but then also like the spiritual kind of like background transformation and partnership energy was awesome. So I think it was like definitely like just such a combination of things as to why your person fell in love with you. Like you just moderated like kind of all the things that they were looking for into one person. Can we have any other messages about why pile one's person fell in love with them, please? I think maybe like kind of from the get-go you knew that this connection was like different. Like maybe you didn't know kind of the extent to which it would be different, but you knew that it was different and you knew that there was something there in terms of like what you could offer each other. And I think maybe had you not been so sure and able to discern kind of, especially through your person's kind of crap that came up around like pulling away in space and all that sort of stuff. Like, had you not been able to discern all the like deeper meanings of that and like see the potential for you still, like maybe this connection might not have even happened. So your person definitely loves that you were able to kind of like see things differently and like see that even when they kind of pulled away and acted not the best, like you still knew who they were in their heart and in their soul. And like you didn't judge them for like their patterns. Like you really loved and accepted them for that. And they definitely love that you seem to like see a spiritual like path and journey for the two of you. I think at least so far it seems like you've kind of been driving the spiritual development. I think your person's like essentially trying to catch up a little bit because they were like definitely a little bit behind with all this stuff. And so they definitely loved that you were kind of like on the spiritual path, and that you were able to really what's it called when you enroll? You were able to enroll this person on the spiritual path too, and offer them like a new beginning in terms of like spiritual development and like just new cycles, instead of kind of getting stuck in this old like very like one-sided one way or the other kind of connection. Like they were actually able to have a different romantic connection with you that was just like really different from anything that they'd had before. And it's what really created the spiritual like you were essentially the seed that planted like a spiritually awakened and aligned person in them. Yeah, and you showed them what they needed to change, like what they needed to adjust in order to live a life that's full of way more alignment and happiness. Like, yeah, you definitely shed a light on a lot of things for this person, and it just made them fall like so deeply in love with you. Do we have anything else for why pile one's person? Yeah, I think you helped them clear a lot of their triggers and karma and like the like old patterns from the past that they were like still holding on to and still playing out for sure. And like I don't think they'd ever been able to kind of like clear this stuff. Like they were just lugging it around for like ever before you got there, and it wasn't until you got there that they kind of like figured out how to really clear that karma and like have fresh beginnings with people. And I think like as well you guys made a lot of memories together, and they definitely like miss you and miss the times that you spent together and the way that you would spend time together. So I'm definitely getting like still in separation vibes, mostly from this spread. Like there might be some people that are like reconnected with this person or like never fully separated. But yeah, I think for a fair few of you, your person's kind of just like realizing a lot about how they truly feel about you now in this kind of separation. And I think for those people that are realizing how they truly feel and all that love and stuff, like this separation was really necessary for that. Like kind of what I mentioned before about them needing the space to like actually see how they were playing out patterns. Can we get anything else about why pile one's person fell in love with them? Can we get anything else about why pile one's person fell in love with them, please? Anything else about why pile one's person fell in love with them? I release all that confines me. I set myself free. I think you really set this person free for maybe the first time in their life. Like they were just like, I get a sense that they just like really weren't happy until you came along, and I don't think they knew how to be happy. I think it's not that you necessarily made them happy like you did, but like you set them free from themselves in order for them to learn how to make themselves happy. And that's potentially one of the biggest reasons why your person fell in love with you. I kind of feel like this card kind of sums up what all of this did for like your person, like who you were for them really set them free. And that freedom was like ultimately like what made them really fall really hard for you, is like just like what you opened up in them that was always there. They just like kind of essentially didn't know how to find it. You really just shone a light on the ways that they could free themselves and live more openly and have in like more aligned and happy and all of that sort of stuff. It's very clear that you did a lot for your person on a spiritual level, and it's that kind of like love that you poured into them that made them feel like exactly the same about you. But I think I'm going to leave that there, pile one. I think that's enough to kind of like ponder on and take away. I hope you got everything out of this reading that you really wanted. And if your reading resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe so that I can come back onto your page for a lot more messages for whatever else that you're needing. But it has been a pleasure to read for you. If you made it all the way through, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Hey there, pile 2. Welcome to your reading for why your person fell in love with you. So if you chose this beautiful apophyllite crystal, then this reading is probably for you. However, as always, using your intuition and discernment to navigate which channeled messages are for you, which ones aren't, which cards might have a better interpretation for your current situation, because that intuitive, discerning aspect of the reading is definitely like super important. And honestly, like one of the best things that you can get out of a reading is like strengthening that intuitive and discerning muscle. But anyway, let's get into your reading about why your person fell in love with you. We're just first checking the overall themes of why your person fell in love with you using this astrology deck. Spirit, can we please have the themes of why pile 2's person fell in love with them, please? Ooh, 12th house, known as like a very spiritual house, also has a lot to do with the subconscious mind, and like, you know, the deep things that we're not always aware of. Woo. Then we also have the Jupiter return card, which has a lot to do with bringing of abundance, good luck, good fortune. It's like the planet of prosperity, and the actual astrological event of a Jupiter return is like kind of maximizing that prosperity and abundance in your life. Then we have Mercury, the planet of the mind. Mercury also has a lot to do with just like in general how things work, like how the cogs of the machine all fit together. So our themes are the 12th house, which is like spirituality, also the subconscious mind and escape. Then we have the Jupiter return, which is like good fortune, abundance, and prosperity. And then we have Mercury, the planet of like the mind, the intelligence, and like kind of figuring out how things work. But let's get using this traditional tarot deck the rest of the messages around why your person fell in love with you, pile 2. I'm getting kind of straight away that maybe like some of the themes of why your person fell in love with you has to do with like definitely your mind, like who you are mentally. Perhaps you brought lots of good things into their life, and I think maybe you awakened some stuff in them spiritually, especially, and potentially like opened up some healing for this person. So what I'm getting straight away, but let's use this traditional tarot to get the rest of the messages and get a little bit more specific. We get channeled messages around why pile 2's person fell in love with them. We get channeled tell. So I'm already seeing some synchronicity with this Queen of Swords and the Mercury card coming out. Queen of Swords is like the perceptive feminine archetype. So it has to do with like seeing the truth of situations. And like just being like mentally very clear. We also have some divine counterpart energy with these cards clarifying each other with the King of Wands and Queen of Wands. So this definitely could be like a twin flame connection or a soulmate connection at the very least, especially because the wand suit is a fire suit, and obviously twin flame fire, twin flames, King and Queen of Wands. I think this is going to be very interesting. This is going to be an interesting reading. There's already a lot here. I'm excited. I'm also like I'm almost getting jittery, like reading this, doing this reading. Can we clarify Queen of Swords as well, please? Thank you. Okay, pile 2, what I'm getting here, I'm getting a lot. Pile 2, what I'm getting straight away, first of all, is I think your person is very much this King of Wands energy. So like leader, visionary, like very like fiery yang kind of think, like Sagittarius, Aries, Leo kind of energy, especially Leo with this artwork on this card. Like I would not be surprised if your person was a Leo, or was any of the fire signs, or had any of the fire placements in their like big 3. Like I'm getting a lot of fire energy from this person, but I think somewhere where your person really struggled was like maybe like balancing out that fire with some practicality. So this King of Pentacles is kind of like the archetype of the very practical masculine energy in terms of like kind of discipline, control, and like kind of having your shit together in the physical. Like I'm getting with this coming out in reverse that maybe your person like didn't have a lot of discipline, like maybe faced a lot of addictions, and also just were like super fiery, stubborn, and just like, yeah, like maybe a little bit aggressive even, and just like didn't really have that kind of like practical peace and balance and earthy kind of groundedness about them. Like I'm getting kind of like almost some air energy as well, of like kind of fire and air kind of like all over the shop, but like both of them not being very like grounded or practical. But I'm getting that when they met you, like you were very like mentally clear and perceptive and aware of like deeper truths, and like your air element wasn't as chaotic and out of control as theirs was, because they were kind of like having this storm of like fire and air energy. I'm getting that like you were much more of this like empowered Queen of Swords energy, which is, yeah, all about seeing like the truth of things and seeing all sides of a situation. It's like very much to do with this like Mercury placement having to do with like the mind and intelligence and like really witnessing. And so when they met you, like your ability to perceive the truth of situations and kind of like hold them accountable and like name things to them that maybe they hadn't really thought about or like really cared to be interested in. Like it created like this new dawn for them in terms of like power and clarity. Like I think they really saw how they were moving through life like very clear for maybe the first time ever, that they were like very out of balance. and like kind of this fire energy was like running the show, without enough kind of like balance of like practicality and like getting their shit together in the physical, like with discipline and control and all that sort of stuff. I'm also getting with this Page of Cups coming out in reverse that maybe this connection like failed to launch. Like I'm getting that potentially like you guys never even really got to go into like full relationship mode, just because this person's energy was like so chaotic. And even though you felt this real resonance with this person, with a lot of your energy being this like Queen of Wands, kind of like passionate and courageous energy, I'm seeing that you also could see the truth of like how kind of chaotic and out of balance they were. And either you put the brakes on the connection and like initiated some boundaries, or maybe like they were just so chaotic that they sabotaged this before it could really get off the ground anyway. So like either one of you intervened, but I'm getting that whatever their intervention was probably kind of more chaotic and accidental, and whatever your intervention was definitely more about seeing the truth of things and like kind of not getting carried away with this connection, while your person had obviously a lot of work to do. But yeah, this 8 of Swords energy, I'm guessing that you guys potentially like dropped contact or stopped seeing each other, and definitely didn't get into this like romantic connection, because like your person just had so much work to do. So the 4 of Swords right way up is to do with like kind of rest, and like essentially kind of like chilling. But I think this coming in reverse is saying that your person definitely had a lot of work to do, and the area that your person had a lot of work to do was in this Pentacles area of their life, which is like kind of the earthy groundedness. So the 9 usually represents in numerologies like fulfillment. So like fulfillment to do with like success, and like feeling of like gratitude of like everything that you've been able to acquire practically in the physical. But yeah, these coming out upside down tells me that they just had so much work to do in terms of that like grounded practicality and kind of like getting their shit together in life, in terms of like being like much more disciplined and like much less chaotic. And whether you like, I'm getting for a lot of you probably named a lot of things with them, but even if you didn't, like they could kind of sense what you were perceiving in them. And I think they kind of put themselves in your shoes, or put themselves in your perspective, and could see themselves very clearly for the first time, and saw that they like weren't showing up how they wanted to show up in life, and definitely not showing up how they wanted to show up for you. Like they wanted to be your equal, like your partner, your match, but like they were just a little bit out of control in some areas, and they just like knew that they were not yet worthy, and they really like had to go deep into themselves, and like kind of unpack like what was going on subconsciously, especially to do with like their inability to kind of have much discipline and control, and maybe their kind of like addictive personality. Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why they fell in love with you was definitely your ability to perceive, definitely the resonance between like you're kind of like both a little bit more fiery in nature, like them being like a very leader, visionary kind of person, and like you being like a very kind of like passionate, courageous person. And definitely them finding this like power and clarity in like seeing all of this maybe for the first time, like that definitely like made them fall in love with you hardcore, because they saw you as like not only an equal but also someone who could like challenge them to be better. And I don't think anyone had really done that for like before. I'm getting that maybe like people in their past had kind of enabled them and just like let them go with this kind of like chaotic fire kind of energy. and no one had really reined them in before. And I think a lot of the reining in wasn't even really that intentional by you. It just happened as a consequence of like you really perceiving them like really accurately and then being aware of like how you were perceiving them. But yeah, this person was definitely like way out of balance. Like, and then like, I think maybe they also didn't even know or realize how to put themselves back in balance. But I think like definitely like your groundedness in this Queen of Swords energy, as well as your Queen of Wands energy, like that made them definitely realize kind of what they had to do. Like, if you didn't name it with them, it's because you were modeling it to them. Like you're modeling this like really like kind of clear-headed perception that's not influenced by, you know, like your addictive kind of subconscious tendencies. At least not in a big way that derails you massively. And so yeah, this person definitely felt called to like go into like complete shutdown, complete isolation, and just like work on themselves. I'm getting for probably a fair few of you here, this like COVID period was just like obviously not a great time, but a wonderful opportunity for your person to kind of like remove themselves from like whatever their addictions were around, whether it was around like being like busy and stimulated and like going out or like seeing friends or like drinking or whatever. It kind of like encouraged them to like kind of really like come home to themselves by like spending a lot more time on themselves and by themselves, like contemplating how they were showing up in life, and like understanding like all of these subconscious patterns on a deeper level. Because like definitely before they went into this like isolation, they definitely just like didn't have this power and clarity around like how they were showing up in the world. But I'm getting for like at least some of you here, like they've definitely like gained a lot of power and clarity now, like with the Magician archetype being that kind of like powerful, insightful kind of energy that's very much a match for this Queen of Swords energy. I think maybe some of you, this person's like still kind of going through it, but I think for a decent amount of you, like they've definitely kind of overcome this lack of power and clarity a fair bit, especially in this kind of like solo time. And I think, yeah, like I think for maybe a couple of you here, they've like kind of entered into this new dawn of like practicality. So 10 in numerology represents 1 new 0 cycle. So they've entered into a new cycle. And for those who have not entered into this new cycle yet, this new cycle is coming and they're very, very aware. Oop. Yeah, so this is separation energy. So I'd say like pretty much everyone here, more or less, will still be in separation from this person for sure. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, your person is entering into a new phase of this practicality, or they're like about to, like either they're here in terms of that new cycle of practicality, or they're about to enter it. They're going to be a lot more grounded, stable, and like it's gonna essentially kind of like tame this fire element and like decompress that real chaotic air element. And I'm getting that this person maybe never had kids on their mind before you, but since meeting you, they were like, oh, like I actually kind of need to get my shit together if I'm going to be with this person and like potentially have a family and have like well-rounded success in life. Like the 10 of Pentacles can represent like, yes, abundance in terms of like finances and wealth and blah, 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 but also like a well-roundedness in life in terms of like good quality of life. So things that like make you happy other than obviously finance, but obviously finance comes as a consequence of you feeling like abundant in your life. But let's see any other reasons why your person fell in love with you. Pile 2. Yeah, I think you gave them hope. Like, I think you definitely gave them hope around this like really good quality of life. And like you gave them hope in terms of like freedom from themselves, and the way they'd always been in the world, and hope that they could kind of change this negative situation that they were in into a much more positive one. Like, I don't think they really saw that potential for themselves before they met you. But then after they met you, they realized what adjustments they needed to make in order to like kind of get their shit together. And like, I think you empowered them to like do this work, like actively do this work for maybe the first time in their life. And I think you also inspired them to I would say trust themselves and trust in their ability to kind of overcome a lot of this. Like, I think they're kind of maybe playing out a lot of this stuff from a place of like kind of being resigned to it, whereas when you came along and could kind of see things getting better for them, they figured out that that's like them being resigned to this way of life was, you know, obviously not healthy, and also not displaying like a lot of faith in themselves as a human to like kind of overcome their own battles, and like improve. And so you definitely inspired that kind of faith in themselves to do the work. And I think like as well, no one had ever kind of seen their potential like in a massive way before they'd really shown it, but you definitely could see that like from the start with them. Like, you could see their potential, and they actually kind of needed to trust someone else's perception of their potential for them to actually pursue it, because I'm getting that they like just weren't seeing it. Like, they were so resigned to this life that they were living, and I think they were really afraid that they wouldn't change, and that they'd never experience like groundedness and well-roundedness and like all of this like really pleasurable, awesome quality of life stuff. But yeah, you definitely open them up to like this whole other like way of operating in life. Yeah, you definitely showed them a lot, and I'm getting that they definitely fell in love with you based on what you showed them. Like, you just showed them so much, and yeah, like inspired them to fall in love with you so deeply just based on who you were being, and the hope that you were presenting them around who they could be, for sure. Yeah, you like, this is like, this ascending energy is like transcending obstacles, learning, expanding new phase, and preparing for union. I think like for most of you here, you're definitely in separation for this person, from this person, and this person is like in your absence doing a lot of work on transcending like a lot of their old stuff, and ascending into like kind of new levels and new patterns, and they definitely feel like super uplifted, and they're so glad that they met you, and were able to have the conversations that you guys had together and made them realize just like so much stuff. They may also be like thinking about reaching out to you and like not even necessarily like trying to pursue something with you, but just like wanting to express gratitude for like what you did for them, and kind of like all the goodness that you brought into their life, just based on like kind of who you were being and the potential that you saw in them. Can we please get anything else about why pile 2's person fell in love with them? Yeah, this is another like potentially twin flame confirmation with this yin yang symbol. The universe and my inner self are harmoniously balanced. Like I think the major reason why this person fell in love with you is that you not only balanced against them, but you helped them balance within. And I'm getting that pretty much in this separation, a lot of their ascending work has to do with them balancing themselves so that they can return to union with you and balance with you potentially, like depending on how things go and depending on how their work goes. How their like kind of shadow work will depend on whether you guys reunite or not. Like they definitely want to, but it'll really depend on how all this work is going for them, I'm getting, because like you're just too woke, like you perceive the truth in like pretty much all situations. So like you're not going to be fooled by them if they come back kind of like not transcended in a lot of things and not ready to be like your like equal, and not ready to be like a harmonious equal balance for each other. Like I'm getting that you probably won't stand for them like expecting you to balance them out continually, and that you'll definitely expect them to balance themselves and then be an equal partner to you. And that's definitely one of the reasons why they love you, or why they fell in love with you, for sure. But I think I'm going to leave that there, pile 2. There's definitely a lot to take away from this. If you made it all the way through this reading, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to see me on your page more often, please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if your reading resonated. And I will see you again very soon. Hey there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading for why your person fell in love with you. Before we get into the reading using this traditional astrology deck, we're first just going to check the general themes of why your person fell in love with you using this astrology deck. Just remembering while I'm shuffling that this is a general reading. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Using your intuition and discernment to know which messages are for you, which ones aren't, and which ones maybe have a better interpretation for your situation. Is absolutely one of the most important parts of receiving any tarot reading. So it's important just to use that little disclaimer. But let's get into this reading. So Spirit, what do we have for pile 3 in terms of why their person fell in love with them? All right, so we have the air element, which is like communicating, as well as Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius energy. Do we have any other themes about why pile 3's person fell in love with them? Any other themes about why? So we have Pisces, which is a water sign. It corresponds with the affirmation, I believe. And it is known for being like a very emotional, but also spiritual water sign. It is like kind of like a woo-woo water sign. I feel like Scorpio is a very transformative kind of energy, and then Cancer is a very like kind of emotional kind of energy, but Pisces is like kind of the best of both worlds in my opinion. And then we also have the sun sign, which has to do with obviously like kind of ego and personality, but also just like spirit, life purpose, and that kind of energy. But let's get some deeper messages using this astrology deck. I mean, not astrology deck, tarot deck. I'm holding the astrology deck. Say what I mean, don't say what I'm looking at. It's my bad. We get more channeled messages about why pile 3's person fell in love with them. We get messages around why pile 3's person fell in love with them. So we've got a lot of synchronicity at the moment, with the sword suit being being to do with like the air element, which obviously came out of our astrology deck. Do we have anything else about? And then we also have some synchronicity with this cup suit and the Pisces sign, especially, you know, because I was talking about Pisces being like emotional but also spiritual. That's definitely the vibe of the Queen of Cups. Could we clarify the Five of Swords, please? We clarify the Queen of Cups. We clarify the Four of Cups as well, please. Okay, pile 3, I'm getting straight away that before you, your person was potentially not very emotionally fulfilled. And I think a lot of that had to do with them, like, not really finding or knowing who their people were before you. I'm getting that, like, potentially they just, like, the people that they had in their life maybe didn't offer them the kind of like fun and excitement and enjoyment that they really like craved in connection with people. Like, I'm getting kind of like some synchronicity between this Page of Wands and Sun, like just that, like just kind of like youthful, like curiosity and like play. Like I'm getting that they like didn't really have that with anyone. And like, yeah, people just kind of like weren't on their level, and the people that they were interacting with just like they didn't find them satisfying in this kind of like fun like regard. But then when they met you, like essentially like this long feeling of like loneliness and like being by themselves and like not really knowing who their people were was kind of like overcome in meeting you, because you like actually really matched their energy. Like the Six of Cups energy is a very like kind of fun, youthful, childlike kind of curiosity and joy kind of card, and definitely with the High Priestess being upside down is like can indicate like kind of an uncovering. So I'm getting that by like uncovering like your youthful playfulness that really matched theirs, they really overcame a lot of their loneliness that they'd felt a long time from being emotionally unfulfilled by connections. But like they saw you as truly their equal, because you were like this very, like I'm getting like heavy Pisces, like kind of calm, intuitive, like beautiful kind of energy that could also match their energy. Like I'm getting kind of like more like say fire and play from them, but like from you, like maybe more of like a joyful, but like kind of like almost a calm and serene kind of joyful. So you're like different enough that you like engage with each other well, and there's some polarity and mystery and like kind of maybe some chemistry, but also like you're enough like them in terms of like your fun and playfulness that they just like really felt like instantly connected to you. They feel like maybe with other people in their lives, they like when they were trying to talk to them, they just like couldn't get on the same page as them. Like they were just really on different levels, and like they never felt like anyone could really get them and like talk to them the same way that you do, because like you guys are like just like definitely like on a similar level with all this stuff. And I'm getting it's very much the joy that like connects you two. Like you two, like they love you because of all the joy that you bring to their life. Yeah, so this person, like before they met you, they felt like kind of no one was on their team and like no one really got them. But then when they met you, they were actually just super grateful that even though in the past, like they didn't really feel like anyone was on their team, that they kind of just like kept putting themselves out there and reaching out to people and just like having a lot of faith that eventually they'd find their people. And they were patient and eventually they found you. And when they did, they really knew that like you were their person, because like there was this deep resonance immediately, and they felt like you were their person straight away. I'm definitely getting that you guys are probably in a relationship. And yeah, you guys definitely, like, there's a lot of synchronicity with this like air element of communicating. Like you just like are on the same page. Like I'm getting that like the two of you can talk to each other just so differently than pretty much anyone else that you've ever been with. Like you're just on the same page. And I think potentially you're equally as glad that the two of you kind of like persisted through maybe a lot of not great relationships and eventually found each other. And like there was a lot for the two of you to overcome in order to connect with each other. Like I don't know what your history is. I'm getting like major relationship vibes right now, but I'm sensing that there was probably some stuff that you had to like go through to get here, either apart or together, to like have this connection where you both are like you really, really care about each other. The Queen of Pentacles energy is like kind of like a deep, deep, deep care for each other. It's a very practical earthy energy, so I'm getting like you're definitely like almost definitely in union with this person. Like you're definitely in some sort of relationship with them, I'm getting. And I'm also getting like a lot of like kind of feminine energy from you. So I think like the fact that like you guys obviously can connect and communicate on this like level that they've never had with anyone else before, but there's also kind of what I was saying earlier about this like chemistry with you guys, where they're kind of like more of this, I would say, swords and wands, like masculine energy, and you're more of this like real cups and pentacles, like you know, like grounded kind of more feminine energy. But like you guys are just like such a good match for each other is what I'm getting. And yeah, they definitely feel like they've met their match. So we've got tree wisdom. The tree will help you navigate through your current situation. Her flute can reveal insights and answers through the sounds that it makes. So I think this is like maybe a little bit less literal in this situation. I think it's referring to the fact that like maybe before they met you and they were kind of like feeling like this loneliness and unfulfillment in terms of like their emotional connections. It wasn't until they met you that they really understood why they weren't feeling fulfilled by other people. Like when they met you, they were like, oh, like this is what I need from someone. This person is pretty much showing me everything that I need. And like that's what made it like super clear to them, like why the people from the past like weren't emotionally fulfilling, and why you were. Like I'm getting like pretty much, I'm getting kind of like definitely love at first sight vibes. Okay, so we've got a fair bit here about why your person fell in love with you. I think like a big part of it was like having to go so long not knowing who their people were and just like keep persisting with connections, and eventually like that like persistence and resilience when it came to connection, and when it came to like overcoming feelings of loneliness and such. Like eventually that really paid off. Like a beautiful connection came into fruition with you guys, maybe even at a time where your person kind of like had almost given up. And yeah, definitely what I was saying earlier in terms of like this wisdom card is just like they, like, thanks to you, they really figured out what they needed. And even though the path getting there was like really difficult, like it pretty much had to be the way it was, so that when they did find you, like they knew straight away that you were it for them. Like by kind of like having lots of no's, they were able to kind of clarify their focus on what was important to them, and probably they weren't even realizing it, but like this fun thing was definitely like a huge focus for them in connection, and like feeling emotionally fulfilled and being able to talk to someone. And like how they actually got to that focus, whether they realized it or not, was like through meeting a lot of people that were a no. And through meeting a lot of people that were a no, they learned like what a yes felt like, so that when they met you, like they felt that full body yes, because they'd kind of like they'd been clarifying it to themselves for so long. So this card can indicate like progress and like healing. So I think maybe like meeting you healed maybe some negative self-talk around what stories they'd created around why they weren't feeling fulfilled by people. Like I think they were just spending time around the wrong people, and like when they met you, they kind of like they got that it wasn't really about them. It was about like it was almost like kind of like God's plan to give them lots of no's to learn what they needed to learn, so that when they ran into you, they'd know that you were a yes straight away. So it was kind of like all like in divine timing and like preparation for this connection by the looks of it, because they definitely see you as like end game, like they want to marry you, and like they feel like a soul connection and eternal love for you. And like I think probably before you guys connected, they were like very hung up on thinking that there was something wrong with them about why they weren't feeling emotionally fulfilled. But like I think that intervention was actually about the universe protecting them from kind of settling with the wrong person, and making sure that they found their way to you with all the knowledge and wisdom that they needed to make this connection with you work, so that you guys could like have a like end game connection. Like it's clear that you guys have a very beautiful relationship. It's like super sweet, like how much you care about each other, and like how much you feel like each other's partner in crime, but also like have a lot of chemistry and also have a lot of fun. Do we have anything else about why pile 3's person fell in love with them? Do we have anything else about why pile 3's person fell in love with them, please? Any other messages about why pile 3's person fell in love with them, please, Spirit? So we have, my heart is filled with eternal gratitude. I count my blessings and I give thanks to all I have. Yeah, I think like the path to you was potentially a little bit difficult, and like this person potentially felt super unfulfilled and just alone a lot of the time. But now that they found you, like now that they've kind of overcome that like challenge of actually trying to find you, now they're like so grateful that everything happened the way that it happened. Like even all this hardship in terms of like what they had to go through to be able to find you. Like they're so grateful for all of those experiences. They see all of them as blessings. They wouldn't change a thing because everything that happened like led them to you. And they're just like so grateful for what they have now. But yeah, this was a really beautiful reading. If you made it all the way through, thank you so much, Pile 3. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more of these readings on your page, please like, comment, and subscribe to make sure that happens. And I will see you again very, very soon. That's all I have for you guys today. My name's Jade Rewilding, and I will be on this channel doing intuitive tarot card readings for whenever you need it. So please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if your reading resonated, so that I will see you on your page again very, very soon. But until then, ciao.